the American Athletic Championship, another Friday night 8 p.m. game on ABC, between Tulane and Army at Army in this one. So the playoff implications, likely none. Right now, Boise State and UNLV are probably going to be ranked above Army, so it's highly unlikely that the Group of 5 playoff spot exits the Mountain West. But the Green Wave are going for their second AAC title in 3 years. Army is going for their first conference title in program history, because obviously Army has been independent for so many years. They joined the AAC now, so now they're going for the first ever conference title. These two teams did not play each other during the regular season. Now, I personally think there is somewhat of an argument to be made that Army could potentially deserve a playoff spot over a UNLV if UNLV beats Boise State, but I don't think it'll happen. But so there's probably no playoff implications to this game, but it's just to be a hell of a game on Friday night between these two teams.
Yeah, I think the playoff implications kind of went out the door when you saw Memphis beat Tulane on Thanksgiving night. I think Tulane had a better shot. We saw Army get rolled by Notre Dame, and that kind of took them out of it because they had a soft schedule before that, and obviously they don't play Navy until next week after this game. Army's still got another game to go, and for them, as always, their biggest game of the season. But when Tulane lost to Memphis, I think it knocked this conference out, and it pretty much guaranteed the Mountain West a spot one way or the other here. But these are still two really good football teams. This is going to be fun to watch.
Absolutely. So, Dawn, you have the Army offense in this game. What should we look out for when the Black Knights have the ball?
So I think the big thing for me, Army is a little more traditional. It's not quite constant triple option like it used to be. There's actually a lot more run concepts than I thought. When you talk about design quarterback runs and toss sweeps and pulling guards and doing things, it's not quite just line up and run the triple option every single play. What they do is find a million different ways to get to the edges. There may not be a better team in the country that gets off tackle and out to the sideline in their run game better than Army, and that's the part that Tulane is going to have to deal with. And we've seen a clear line of demarcation here with Tulane, where when they play good run defense, they win, and when they don't, they don't. It's just that simple. It's kind of the X factor. So in their 3 losses plus a game against Louisiana that they barely won, they've given up over 200 yards in every game. In their other 8 wins, they've given up 102 rushing yards in those games and won by an average of 34 points. So you can see it right there. 9 wins, 86.3 run defense grade. 3 losses, they've gotten run all over. Now, granted, 2 of those 3 losses are Kansas State, who runs all over just about everybody, and Oklahoma, who's also, still an SEC team that can get it rolling when they can get their offense rolling. The rare occasion they can get their offense rolling, and that was really their best offensive day against Tulane. But I think this is just the biggest thing is, are they going to be able to just toughen up and play one more game of really good run defense against a great offensive line, a tough quarterback in Bryson Daly, and a lot of run schemes that, option or not, are designed to make you run side to side and break contain and get down the sideline.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me on the other side of the ball with Tulane, it's kind of the same thing. Can they dominate at the line of scrimmage, honestly? Tulane right now has the 4th highest graded offense in the nation, and ironically, only second to Army among Group of 5 schools right now. And a major reason for that is the Green Wave don't really have a real weakness on offense. They're among the top 35 teams in the country in every offensive grading category, whether it be passing, rushing, receiving, pass blocking, and run blocking. Top 35 in the country in all of those. When you look at the Black Knights defense, they're solid in the secondary. Right now they're 40th in coverage grade, but they've had major issues defending the run with the 91st best run defense grade and also rushing the passer 108th pass rushing grade right now. Army is 110th in rushing yards allowed before contact at 2.1 and 114th in pressure rate this year at about 27%. That could be a big issue against the Green Wave because Mekhi Hughes, if you give him a lot of yards before contact, you can also create a lot of yards after contact as well. He's 6th in America with 955 yards after contact this year, and Tulane's offensive line has been kicking ass this year. They're the 9th highest graded offensive line in all of college football. So if you give Darian Mensah clean pockets, he's proven he could be a very, very good quarterback from the clean pocket. Mekhi Hughes, like I mentioned before, very good after contact. So if you give him a lot of yards before contact, that only adds on to his total. And the Tulane offensive line, how good they are and how much the Army defensive line and pass rush has struggled this year, it could be a mismatch a little bit with Tulane's offensive line.
And not only the offensive line, the fact that they run as much 12 personnel as any team. They got 2 tight ends on the field constantly, right? So they just have so much weight up there up front. Obviously, the academy schools are known for having just smaller guys on the offensive and defensive lines, right? Physically, right? It's a different thing that they have to do, obviously, off the field. But I think with Tulane, really both these teams, I'll tell you what, this is going to be a short football game with as much as these two teams want to run the ball. We may see a conference title game be about 2 hours and 15 minutes as much as these two run the ball. But no, you're right. It's going to come down to who is more physical on both sides of the ball. And with Tulane, look, with Mekhi Hughes, with the 2 tight ends, and I think there is the element there of 2 things that get added in with 2 different quarterbacks, right? We've got obviously Darian Mensah, who's a really good play-action quarterback. So if they can get the run game going, he can start throwing it over people's heads. And then I think we're going to see a decent amount of Ty Thompson in that Wildcat role he's been playing all year. And I think that plays a big part of it, especially up there at West Point with all the cold weather. You could see more of Thompson than usual as well.
Absolutely. So, Dalton, ultimately, who will win the American Championship game? Will it be Tulane or will it be Army?
It's going to be tight. It's going to be low scoring. It's going to be physical as hell. And 2 guys I'm looking for Tulane are their linebackers, Sam Howard and Tyler Grubbs. They were really good against Navy a few weeks ago when they shut out Navy 35-0. They're going to have to be just as good in reading all the pulling guards and all the different concepts that Army runs up front. If you lose track of the football up front against Army, they're flying down the sideline. They'll go right by you. But I'm going to take Tulane. I think the balance on offense and what I saw them do against Navy, even though obviously it's not the same exact team, that was really impressive, right? Against Blake Horvath, and then he got hurt, but they only gave up, I think it was 114 rushing yards in that game to another team that wants to run the ball 80-90% of the time. So I've got Tulane 23-17. I think it's going to be a physical, cold weather, short game. I'm telling you, it ain't going to be no more than 2.5 hours because of just all the running and 40 seconds coming off the clock at a time. But Mekhi Hughes is the best player on the field, and I think Tulane's defense and the passing game, even to give them some balance, they get it done.
And also is in West Point as well, which I've been there before. It gets cold in West Point, so that could be another reason why it could be.
That's going to be a fun crowd too.
Oh yeah. It could be a very run-heavy game there. I also have Tulane winning though. I have Tulane going on the road and winning 28-21. I think both rushing attacks will find success in this game, but I am a big fan of Darian Mensah. I'm also a big fan of Tulane's receiving core. They got some really good players in that receiving core. Mario Williams, the former USC receiver, he's had a pretty good year. They have other really talented players in that receiving core as well. I think that could be the difference as well, where both teams are going to want to run the football. But when you get play action, like you mentioned, off Darian Mensah, has been great off play action this year. I think he and those receivers can make enough plays to put Tulane over the top in this game. So I got Tulane winning as well, 28-21. Hey, thanks for watching another episode of the PFF College Football Show. Please make sure you guys subscribe to the channel.
Also, subscribe to PFF Plus at subscribe.pff.com for all of the same data and grades that we use in our show, plus fantasy tools, betting tools, and our mock draft simulator.